up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here, GuitarJams.com. I've been thinking about some of these soloing lessons I've done, and I've got a concept that I want to share with you. I've noticed as I've taught guitar over the years that a lot of my students who were pretty decent at soloing actually couldn't always do this thing I'm going to show you, which is being able to play the minor pentatonic scale on one string, or knowing it on one string. If you think about horn players and a lot of other musicians that are really melodic, they have one line of linear sounds, whereas on guitar you've got multiple lines of that. So just looking at your guitar and knowing all your scales really, and being able to know the steps on one string will really expand your musical palette. And you can actually do advanced stuff with the concept as well, and maybe at the end I'll even show you one of those
secret weapons.
Anyway, I do have some other blues licks that I made a while back that are not on YouTube. I'm going to leave a link for them. I think one's a Stevie Ray Vaughan, one's a Eric Clapton, I think one's a B.B. King. You can check them out down in that link down there. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to zoom in and just kind of talk about some of these concepts, and hopefully you get something from it. All right, here we go. All right, so let's just get right to it. I'm going to do all the A minor pentatonic right now, and I'll add that blues note too, which makes it the blues scale. But what we're going to do is we're going to plug in a root, and I'm going to start on the high E for you guys out there. And with the minor pentatonic, once you have the root, you always have a whole step below the root. All right? And then you always have a minor third up from the root, which means a whole step and a half step. Then you have two whole steps, and it's called the pentatonic scale, which means 5 notes. So we already have covered 1, 2, 3. Now we need a whole step, and then another whole step. Okay, so we have root, minor third, whole step, another whole step, minor third. Now I'm on that G note that's right here. So let's go backwards from the root, because you're going to want to know how to go backwards and forwards with the pentatonic scale. And I'm not saying sit there and just do all your solos on one string, but that is how you can get some new ideas and also get yourself out of always using that extension. Even though I highly recommend you practice that and use it, this will get you thinking about the instrument a little bit differently, and it's also, you can get into other positions of the scale in more unconventional ways than just always using that extension that you've maybe learned from me. Okay, so we got the root, minor third, 2 whole steps, and then a minor third. And then the whole step gets us back to the root. So going backwards, when you have the root, you always have that whole step below, minor third, so then you've got whole step, minor third, whole step, minor third. That minor third from the root. Now the blues note is always after that whole step. And it's really good to just limit yourself to that one string and see what you can do. But for right now, let's actually find the root on the B string. So we're looking for A. Let's do that backwards technique. We're always going to go a whole step below. And you can already look and see that little piece of that extension right there. But let's keep the tradition here with the one string approach. Whole step below, minor third below, and then 2 whole steps. Let's go back up to the root. Now let's go up. We got the root, minor third, whole step, minor third, and then a whole step up to the root. Root, whole step, minor third, whole step, the blues note. So then you could do stuff like where you're like, okay, well, I'm only going to solo on the B and the high E string. And then you can... and look for those little patterns and sequences. So it helps you look at the scales differently than always looking at one kind of shape. And also, you can get really cool slides and bends by doing the one string concept as well. And you don't always have to go, you know, from note to note. You can skip around. Okay, so you should be able to do the rest of the strings. But I really like the G string on this concept, so we're going to go the root right here on the 2nd fret. So what did I say? The root, a whole step below. Minor third, whole step, minor third, whole step. We're at the root again, so minor third, whole step, minor third, whole step down, minor third down, whole step, minor third down. You know, you can do that kind of idea. You know, like Van Halen would do stuff where he'd follow up a scale with doing his little drill hand or whatever, and moving up on one string on the scale. So, you know, you've actually seen it in action. The rest here, we got. The open A string. And then anything on the low E string is going to be the exact same thing I was doing on the high E string, the first thing I showed you. would recommend to you also is knowing the major pentatonic on one string as well. And it's the exact same pattern, but with a different root starting bass. So what I mean by that is the A minor pentatonic that we were just doing, it shares all the same notes as the C major pentatonic. The difference is between those two is that the A minor pentatonic has that A root as that home bass, that note that feels like home, and it's played over an A minor progression. Whereas the C major pentatonic is that same pattern, but it has the C note that feels like home bass, and it's played over a C major type of progression. So let's just study that for a second. We're going to change keys here. We're going to play G major pentatonic, which is all the same notes as the E minor pentatonic. So this is another really valuable pattern as a guitar player. Just to give you that ear, that sound of G major. You'd start with a root, and now you do two whole steps. Then that minor third. Then the whole step. Then the minor third. And you're at that root again. So in the major pentatonic, you always have that minor third below the root. And so let me show you two advanced concepts. If you made it this far in the video, congratulations. I do find this very valuable, but obviously it's not a hot lick. But check this out. One thing that's great about knowing the blues scale or any scale on one string is you can do that octave technique like Wes Montgomery made really famous. I'm going to go back to A minor for a second. Right? Now watch this. If I use my index finger on the G string for the A minor pentatonic scale, or the blues note too, well, I can play that same note, A, an octave up, right here, and then mute the B string with my index finger. Now I have this kind of thick, cool jazz sound. When you're doing octaves up of the E, A, and D string, they're only a whole step apart. Oops, power chord. Okay, power chords following the minor pentatonic is cool too. juicy tidbit for you, and knowing that being able to visualize that scale on one string is quite valuable. It's helped me a lot. So here's the most advanced form of it, and it's not theoretically correct, but I got this from one of the great blues masters of all time, Robin Ford. Amazing player. He would do this kind of thing. If you're in A minor pentatonic, say it's a little more jazzy blues kind of thing. It doesn't even have to be a jazzy blues, but I'm just going to do it. You can follow that pattern by visualizing the high E string, but play this little major 6 voicing. And it's a really cool way to thicken up. So a really cool way to harmonize that concept. And so it'd be like this. If you're playing, this is basically, you'd call it an A6. It's I'm kind of like barring on that root, but then my middle finger goes down to that major third of the chord right there. So it's not really minor anymore, even though we're following it over the minor pentatonic. I know that seems weird, but it just gives you that blues jazz voicing vibe. And it's just one voicing. So it'd be like the 6 on the G, and then you're covering the 5 on the B and the high E, but then my ring finger comes down onto the 7 of the B, and that's the little shape. And I'm following the minor pentatonic on the high E there. Another cool thing in the major or minor pentatonic is just doing the fourths of the pattern. So in other words, you're just covering everything on the high E and the B string. And Hendrix did that, but one of the most famous examples of that, besides like the kind of like the little Asian thing, is the David Bowie tune with Stevie Ray Vaughan, doing that Little China Girl, I think. But it's cool even if you're jamming. Alright, that was a lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got those blues licks down there you can check out. Thanks for hanging out with me, and there's more video lessons coming your way soon. Thanks a lot.